Hey, what's up, Nancy?
Hi. Uh, so many questions, so many topics that were covered in this film, The Forbidden Wish. I have to start with Michael. What inspired you to this story and roller coaster of emotions with characters?
Well, it was written, the first incarnation was a one-act play that was written around 2010, 2009, when I was getting my master's degree at UC Riverside. And I was in a very dark place mentally at the time for various reasons. And I saw a documentary on Ethiopian Jews, and I also thought that that was a unique topic that is not talked about in film very much. And I came up with this character, which is really myself, having a conversation about a rabbi about, you know, what it's like to be depressed and, and feel so out of touch with the world. And I realized that that shared a lot of themes with the rabbi too, and Judaism altogether, and that this kind of made a cohesive story in there.
And now for both of you, Sammy and John, and we could start with Sammy starting. That's my order I see right here. What was it about the script that fascinated you to want to be a part of it?
I just felt that it was a well-written script, and the fact that it was a two-hander, which is very complex. And I really loved. I had never known about Ethiopian Jews until I read this. I was introduced to this story, so I went and watched a documentary on Ethiopian Jews, and I was so fascinated. And Michael's writing really touched upon a lot of, you know, topics, and it just really piqued my interest. And I loved the way it was written. It was obviously the idea of it initially was for it to be a play, stage play. Then it was made into a screenplay, and I was just all for the challenge. And I was just something that comes along once in a while, and it was well written. And I spoke to Michael, and I I decided after I asked him a few questions about it, and I did my research, and I was like, I'm ready to be a part of this. It's just a wonderfully well written script, great story, and just two people trying to find each other, and they have commonality of pain, and they taught each other, you know.
Yeah, I mean, exactly what Sammy said. It's so beautifully written, and I think that when you hear the dialogue, you can tell that it's coming from such a specific perspective, and it is so personal. And I think when I read the script, that it came through. And then obviously I met Michael and I auditioned with Sammy, and I was like, well, please, please. Um, but it really was this challenge of um, translating this play onto screen. And I think the thing that drew me the most to it was that it was so human, and it tackles themes that I think are so relatable to a lot of people. And I think that when people watch the movie, they can find themselves, bits of themselves in both of these characters, which was so important in making the movie. So yeah, it was a dream to work with these guys and that whole crew, and tell this story and say those words.
Mm-hmm. John, you bring up the dialogue. There was pretty long dialogue, and not to mention, like I said, like a roller coaster of emotions. I mean, moment you guys are, your characters are speaking in such tone, and then suddenly it gets kind of intense. How was it to juggle everything? And not only that, but you guys made it look like it was like one take.
Yeah, it does look like it was one take. Go ahead, John.
Just,
Well, I mean, yeah, it's hefty dialogue, which is a challenge, but I think, in conversations with Michael and Sammy and discussing what it means in that moment that we were talking about, I think it made it so much easier. There was also a lot of times when like, where's Johnny? And then they'd find me out in the back, like pacing with my lines, just making sure I can remember them and keep it fresh. But it was such a challenge, but I mean, I think it flows so naturally, and also acting alongside Sammy.
I think what makes it really because it's so important is having a great relationship with Johnny. I think that's the foundation of this piece, because if you don't have two characters that have great chemistry, and it has to show on screen, so it doesn't feel like it's laboring. It has to come out. There has to be a synergy, and there has to be, and I felt that connection, and also the fact that Johnny and I drove down to San Diego together. We shot in San Diego at the Saint Bethlehem at the synagogue. And so on our way down to San Diego, we went through the lines and we talked about it. We broke it down, and that also helped us with our relationship. And so on the day when we're shooting, it just made it a lot easier because we kind of established a relationship beforehand. And so we were kind of basically on set, and Michael just did his trick here and there, and and because it's such a very important piece, and you have to stick to the dialogue. You can't deviate from it because it could change the meaning of what the writer director is trying to the message he's trying to get through, and that's so important. It's very important, and I think Michael wrote a great script, so you want to do it justice.
Well, Michael, I mean, you made them. You combined these two, great actors together and had this chemistry. How did you know that it was Sammy and John, the ones to play these roles?
I saw them, and usually casting is a difficult process, but for this project, it was a lot easier. There's something about their energy that made them made these people, both Sammy and John. I felt that they were, natural for this. It's like when it feels like you make these characters in your imagination, and then they suddenly appear in front of you. And it's like, oh wow, that's suddenly the right. That's the person I hope hopefully that I can get with this project. And they were brilliant, and they had to work so hard doing all these monologues and overnight, and it must have been, I'm not an actor, but I can't imagine the gruelingness of that, and they were amazing, and the fact that it seems like one take is, um, that's a big compliment. Uh,
I mean, it was just a dream to say your words. I'm just saying.
Actually, that is a big compliment that you felt that it looked like it was a one take. So kudos to Michael and the DP. Yeah, it did feel like a one take, uh, one shot, should I say, a long.
yeah.
And we were solidifying a play on screen. So that's awesome.
No, it did. And may I ask approximately how many takes do you think, Michael, it was shot in?
Um, well, Don, do you remember the one that took the longest take?
Which one? I'm sure I stumbled over dialogue time after time.
It didn't involve any dialogue. It
Ooh.
was with a dreidel.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Which
It
one?
nearly all night. We were trying to do a shot of the dreidel so it would land on Shin, and
Oh,
it did. It never did. That
yeah.
whole night. It was like a curse. I don't know what was going on, but that took the longest for sure.
And you think that would be the easiest, but it wasn't.
Yeah, like you said, neither of us said a single thing. We weren't even in the shot. Uh, Danny had
Go figure.
and I'm sitting there, and you can
Yeah, so I had to spin the dreidel, and then we wanted to land like you have to the perfect spot for the shot, like
yeah,
centered, and then for it to say shin, and it just
so I'll say if that was the hardest or longest shot we had to do, then it was a pretty good environment. Uh,
It was indeed. Like I said, the whole time I'm watching, I'm into the story, I'm into the dialogue, but I'm like, this is not, it doesn't stop. It just keeps going. It's brilliant. I'm thinking, wow, I need to get their tips on how what a great memory they have, like I need to have some of that.
you know fit in at night as well. That wasn't easy, and trying to remember the lines. Uh, that was intense, but we got through it because I think we also had a great atmosphere. Michael's mom was there. She was helping us out a lot, and it felt like a family affair, and that makes your job easy. And when you have close people, and we're all on the same page, and we all have the same goal, and there was no ego, there was nothing. It was just like a family unit. It makes it easier. I mean,
yeah.
that that's what filmmaking should. It's not always like that, but that's why this small indie films, like when you have the right people behind it, it makes it a lot easier to do, and that's where you really get to sink your teeth into a character and actually explore and have fun.
Now in the film you guys dialogue goes through like these different stories of both characters' life. Which one would you think was the most intense for you, Sammy? Which story that you shared with John, and for you, John, for your characters?
Wow, I think the one that probably that I can remember, I believe was probably when I was talking about my son. Um, that was very even just thinking about it almost wanted to make me emotional because I just felt a connection between me and my dad, and just all that the journey itself, and uh, it was very emotional for me, and it was intense, and yeah, I'm starting to feel. Yeah, that was one of the ones for me. Definitely.
I think for I mean there's so many, but I think for me the one where he's talking about how he got his diagnosis of his mental disorders, and that's something that is personal for me, and so to get the in the right headspace for that of learning that you have a diagnosis, or this is how your brain works, and that was really interesting to be able to speak.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, guys, for your time and talking about The Forbidden Wish. Like I said, I'm sure viewers are going to enjoy it, and they're going to take a lot away from it. Like you mentioned, John, I feel like a lot of people will be able to kind of relate here and there to the film, and will take a lot with
Thank
them. And Michael, thank you. You're the creator. You made the magic happen.
thank you.
Man,
Thanks, Nancy. Glad you enjoyed it.
thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys take care.